Get a cup of coffee in here, please.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Go ahead. Make me laugh. I dare you. Oh, yeah. What day is today? It's rock and roll day. That's what day it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, good morning, folks. Another dreary, dark, rainy day here in Long Island, New York. I hope you have springtime wherever you are. I really wish that upon you. May you have springtime. May the 4th be with you. Today is Thursday, May 4th, 2023. Today, Killer Keely will be with us in hour 2. She's in Arizona. So, and with expanding the program for extra time now, I am giving the West Coasties, the option of coming on in the second hour. And I think it might actually help us get some more West Coasties. I like saying West Coasties on the program. So, Killer Keely Wolf, 24-year-old comic out of Arizona who is killing it, even though she's very young and fairly new to the game, will be with us in hour 2. Every single day, I lose a little more faith in humanity. There's a story trending called on Twitter. It's said arrested 44. It's about a guy named Jordan Neely, who was arrested 44 times, killed for being annoying, beaten to death, choked to death. And people, listen, the guy was no saint. He made a lot of mistakes. I think he was a little bit mentally ill. Arrested 44 times, mostly for jumping subway fares. But there were some assaults, and there's actually assaults on tape that, purse snatching and stuff like that. Purse snatching that went even further than purse snatching. I'm not defending the man, but he's dead. And people are celebrating on Twitter like he deserved the death penalty for 44 times, mostly jumping the turnstiles to beat the fares on the subways. A couple of assaults in there, which, again, not excusing it. Appears he was a bit mentally ill. And society failed him. Now, they're trying to make it a black-white thing. Of course, every time there is a young black man, and I don't know how old he was. I think he's probably around 30, just by the looks of him. A young black man being killed by a white man, it's going to be racially motivated. I think it was more the guy who beat him to death was just totally sick of his shit and just went too far. And I don't think that's necessarily a homicide or a hate crime, not necessarily based on race. Could be, but not necessarily so. Anyway, people are celebrating it as if he deserved to die. As far as I know, Purse snatching is not a death penalty case. There is no death penalty in New York, by the way. Um, Nobody deserves to die. Does society, is society failing everybody in this case? Absolutely. Men deserve to be probably in treatment in, mandatory in-house care in a mental hospital or jail or something like that. He didn't deserve to be killed, but it's really disgusting to see how people are celebrating his death like he deserved to die for doing the things he did, which was mostly, again, fair jumping and some assaults that are disgusting assaults in the subway. A young woman purse snatching and beating her after he took a um, purse. Listen, that is the disgusting crime. The punishment does not fit the disgusting crime in this case. And people celebrating his death, they lost their humanity. Definitely would love to see accountability. I would love to see society deal with these things in a much more humane way. The reason we have people like Jordan Neely on the streets is we don't fund mental health care. He was obviously not well, taunting people and stuff like that. Obviously not a well person. But there's no reason to celebrate the fact that he's been murdered. I don't think it was I think a intended murder. It wasn't an intentional murder. It was something that a fight broke out. A guy was meant to kick his ass for being annoying, and then rage took over it. This can happen. If you've ever been in a fight that you did not expect to be in, once it escalates and you're getting physical, the adrenaline and the all those hormones that make men rageaholics kick in. It's part of our DNA, part of our makeup. So I think a guy just meant to kick his ass, went too far, should be treated as a I don't know, manslaughter case or something like that. But there's no reason to celebrate the death of a young man who was clearly mentally ill. And it really breaks my heart to see people celebrating it. And no defense of the young man's behavior or what put him in that position. But I do feel like society has failed him, us, all of us, and we are making it worse by teaching or when we share our joy over something as really brutal and disgusting as this. We're teaching society because there's thousands of these good for him, he deserved to die tweets. Deserve to die. Have you ever made a mistake? Do you ever struggle with mental health issues? Do you know anybody who does? Do you know anybody who's ever committed a crime? If you say no, you're a liar. Yeah, he was arrested 44 times. If he was not in Manhattan, if he was in, let's say, I don't know, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, let's say that. If he was there, he probably wouldn't have the opportunity to commit the kind of crimes he committed, subway jumping. Probably would have maybe done some purse snatching. Who knows? But the environment creates people. Society does nothing to help. And then when a murder happens, we celebrate it. I don't know what to say about it. It's just not. It's not humane, and it's not you know it's not the society that we want, or not. Maybe I'm talking too much for myself. It's not the society I want to live in, and why I lose faith in humanity a little more every day. That's a sad, sad commentary on this Thursday morning. The fabulous Robert Klein will be with me tomorrow. Yes, Cinco de Mayo and Robert Klein. Now, if you don't know, Cinco de Mayo has always been my favorite made-up holiday. Not a real holiday. Um, they don't even celebrate it in Mexico. But for me, playing with the band over the years, it was always a fun night. It was a night that it meant that spring and summer, the hot, warm weather, the beach weather, the time to be out there gigging and having parties and all that kind of stuff meant that season was starting. And it was St. Patrick's Day was really still winter, but the bars were packed with people. But Cinco de Mayo for me always represented the start of music season, and it was a great day for me, and I always loved it, and had some great memories of gigs on Cinco de Mayo. So I think it's pretty fitting that I get to finally interview one of my greatest inspirations and heroes in comedy and music and just the arts on Cinco de Mayo. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you will tune into that. Probably will be a fairly long conversation, judging on when Robert was on with John Pavaramo on Dystopia Tonight. He likes to talk. I got a lot to ask him about, so it could be a long one, and I'm there for all of it. I'm there for all of it. So I'm excited about that. Monday, to paraphrase Mishka, Monday, if you hear me complaining on Monday, that means I'm neither dead nor in jail, which is a good thing. But there is a chance I could be either one of those, or in the hospital, or just like there's a chance I could just be either fatigued or beaten up, and not beaten up by the guy. I'm not. Somebody, if you've been following, guy threatened to come and kick my ass at my gig on Sunday, Mother's Day here in America, for making a joke about the Mets. Well, and then when he got me canceled from the studio, uh, aggravated me a little bit, and then kept stalking me on my Facebook page, leaving snide comments and all that kind of stuff. So I called him a pussy or whatever I call him, punk ass, something like that. Anyway, he's angry that I called him a punk ass, and he wants to come and kill me. Well, that's fine. Thing is, with adults, again, coming back to this whole thing with this kid who got killed, once you start a fight when you're an adult, there is always the chance it's going to end like it did for Jordan Neely, in death, especially with me. I know. I've been there. Fighting brings out the go green Hulk mentality in me like you can't imagine. I mean, off the charts rage. So once it starts, it doesn't end until somebody is really subdued, out of it, dead. Cops are called, all that kind of stuff. It's a real possibility. The other possibility is I could kick his ass and send him to the hospital, or he doesn't show up and nothing happens. But so if you hear me complaining on Monday, I'm neither dead or in jail, and that's a good thing. I don't want to be dead or in jail yet. I mean, dead, possibly. I know it's coming. Let's face it. Every day is a blessing when you're no matter what age you are. But you start to realize your days are very numbered when you get to my age, anyway. And when I see things like the Jordan Neely thing, I'm not really clinging to this world like with desperation. Death doesn't is not a consequence. I don't want to go to jail. I've never really been in jail, other than one time in a Mexican jail cell for a couple of hours. An extortion case where the deputy sheriffs in Mexico were extorting me and a couple of young friends. It's a silly thing, but never really been arrested for a crime or spent any time other than 2 to 3 hours behind bars, and don't intend to. And hope that doesn't happen. Now, Monday afternoon, I'm supposed to be on Stand Up Memories. I couldn't think of my memory of the title of this show. Stand Up Memories with Jackie Martling and Peter Bale. So supposed to tape it at a studio here that is partially run by Mike Zinn. I don't like Mike Zinn. I flat out do not like the man. And so I would prefer not to have to. Jackie wants to have him on with me in the second half of the segment. I would prefer not to do that. It's going to take a lot of restraint from me to not lose my temper with Mike Zinn. Why? I feel like he's a very selfish, self-centered, pitiful excuse of a man who's trying to make a name for himself or feel validation for himself at the expense of others. And if that was purely the case, I would just let him go and never give him another thought. But he's actually hurting somebody I care about very deeply, somebody who now thinks I'm a hater, even though nobody has ever shown him the real care. And I can say this for a fact. Nobody has ever showed him the real sincere care that I have. I'm talking about Will. I'm going to still call him my friend because I still love the man. I think he's a good man. I think he's a smart man and a knowledgeable man, but a man who has never in his life had the ability to think clearly. A lot of that is not his doing. A lot of that is because of an abusive upbringing. I understand that. But he is not thinking clearly. And Mike Zinn is feeding his delusions, feeding his bad strategy. And to be clear here, Will finally broke down a couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before, and he did a live stream where he was crying, talking about his suicidal ideation and veiled references to some of the comments I made here. So I know that him and Mike, even though I told them I don't really want to have them here, are listening to some of the comments I made because there were references to some of the stuff I've been talking about, affirmations and how they are misleading and how they can be poison. That makes me a hater. No, that makes me a guy who's made that mistake, seen that mistake. And all the people around you that you think are your friends are supporting you. They're not. They're placating you. And to misconstrue that to say, I don't want you to make it. I don't want you to achieve whatever you have in your mind as your measure of success. If I didn't, why would I have you on the program so many times? Why would I do a fundraiser for you? Why would I put together music for you to sing and promote it and ask people to support you in every way possible? Does that sound like a hater? Again, nobody has ever showed this man the care and concern that I have. And when you get somebody like Mike Zinn, who is a desperate for validation, pseudo intellectual, who has not gotten any education in the things that he really puts out there, he's not a scientist, but he talks about energy. He doesn't know anything about physics. He never took a physics class in his fucking life. When he talk about spirituality, he never took a theologian class in his life. He's a new age, self-proclaimed prophet who is leading a suicidal man astray and telling him, "Oh, yeah, keep doing what you're doing." And then when the man breaks down, he said, "Yeah, that's right. Just you're still doing it right. Just blame the haters," meaning me, or the hypocrites, meaning me. When you're doing things right, you don't break down and cry for a half an hour on YouTube or Facebook and swear that I'm none of this stuff really, but I don't care what you think. Fucking crying, I don't care what you think, screams loudly. I care what you think, and it's breaking my fucking heart. And that's fine. Let's have that fucking conversation. Let's have that conversation about what's breaking your heart truly. Because what's breaking your heart truly is not thinking clearly about what you're trying to achieve and listening to all people who have never achieved anything in their fucking miserable lives telling you, yeah, you're doing it right. Because if you do succeed, you leave them behind. And they don't want you to leave. Mike Zinn wants you to stay on his fucking miserable, poor excuse of a life level. Are the veins popping out yet? I don't see the veins popping out yet. You could go watch the video on William's Facebook page, and if you don't understand that he's talking about me. Now, he thinks I'm pissed at him for leaving his wife. I don't even know what happened with his wife. I don't care. I don't talk to his wife. But I did predict that the suicidal thoughts would come because, listen, and this is important for all comedians out there, all musicians, all people who are trying to make it in the arts. We talk about how cruel the business is. When you're in a small town, you can make a big splash for a short period of time, but you will quickly run out of splash. You run out of water to splash in a small town. You're not going to sustain that. So you go there, you're there for a couple of weeks. Yeah, you've gotten some good gigs, and then the gas runs out. You got no more splash left. And that's where it ends. And that's where your emotional crash comes, and you listen to somebody like me saying, you're doing it wrong. Oh, you must be a hater. No, I want to see you do it right. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you get out of the cycle that leads to suicidal ideation. Because one day, you might go through with it. And if that happens, Mike Zinn and the enablers own it. And I will then hold him accountable in very real terms. My friend kills himself because of a fucking new age, fucking punk ass wannabe scientist who's got nothing to show for his fucking miserable life. You're going to drag other people down, and if you're going to make my friend kill himself because of your stupid, idiotic need to be validated by anybody into your stupid fucking tarot world, you're going to be held accountable. You see why I don't want to be in the studio with this fucking prick. So that's going to happen Monday. Might not go well. So I got Sunday and Monday back to back high drama days. I'm ready for it. But I'd rather both days pass in peace. As far as, well, I do care about the man. I almost called him last night and said, listen, before you pull the trigger on any of this ideas that you're having, call me. Make me your last phone call. I love the man. He's a very good man. He's got a great heart. Again, smart as a whip. He's never been told he was smart as a whip, but he is. And he's extremely knowledgeable. He has great retention for knowledge. But he's a guy who fucking robbed a flower shop thinking that because his rent was due, thinking that that was the answer. If you think that's clear thinking or an example of clear thinking, there's really little hope for your clear thinking. he thinks that going to South Dakota doing the open mics is going to sustain him. He admits he's made $80 in a month. $80 in a month. Can't pay his rent, has no car, has nothing, no bank account, nothing, and ends up crying, talking about his suicidal thoughts 3 to 4 weeks later. And his friends, so-called friends, yeah, you're on the right path. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going where? Till he fucking blows his brains out? That's what you fucking want? Is the veins popping out yet? I'm not like I'm trying to make the veins pop out, but you see how angry I am at the people who are feeding. Because before all this happened, Will would post a single affirmation here or there. Now, since he's calling under the influence of Mike Zinn, who unfortunately I introduced him to, probably about 40 or 50 affirmations and cliches and word fucking salads about success a day. And convincing himself, I'm on the right path. I just never give up. Well, if you made $80 in a month and you're still living off the charity of somebody else, I'm sorry, dude. The affirmation should say, give the fuck up. You're going the wrong way. Turn back. Do something different. And it doesn't mean he's not a very talented comedian. He is. He's just never going to be able to sustain himself by doing it with the poor ass strategy of a new age fucking guru. Nobody cares more about this man than I do, which is why I am so angry today at Mike Zinn. And I dread being in the same studio with him because I dread the monster in me expressing this. And I know Jackie and Peter's show is not about this drama or bullshit. And they don't want me doing that on their show. And I don't want to bring that to their show. It's about comedy. But when you have somebody behind the camera right in front of me, or you want to sit them at a desk next to me, who is encouraging the suicidal ideation of somebody I care about and love, my ability to contain my emotions is not going to be that strong on that day. Anyway, I'm sorry to drag you all into. You know about this stuff, which is why I feel okay in sharing it. And you know about Will's struggles. He's been very open about all the things he's done. But at 42 years old, when a lot of your emotional development, psychological development has been stunted by abuse, I understand we all have things that we feel like we need to do for our spirit. And for him, it's performing comedy. I get that. And if they never make any money at it, yeah. Well, unfortunately, and this is really important for you folks out there trying to fucking do things. Unfortunately, you can never do it full time unless you can pay your bills with it. If you want to do it full time, it has to pay. This is the society we live in. Money provides a roof over your head, provides food, clothing, shelter, all those things. You need them. So if this is your goal just to perform, that's a great goal. But you got to make it pay. And winning a trophy at an open mic night, when they give that same trophy away every week because they have to choose one, whether you're fucking great or everybody sucked that night, we just have to pick a winner. That is not measuring forward success or improvement. That is measuring sustainability or lack of sustainability at the lowest level to keep you down. And people who celebrate that with you, you do the right thing, keep going. No, you don't keep going. I'm not saying give up comedy. Don't perceive my words as saying give up on your dream. It's saying strategize it. Think what will work, what will really get you to where you need to be to feel healthy in doing what you're doing and not have suicidal ideation creep back in to the point where you're getting on Facebook and doing a live video crying about, I don't care what people think. Well, if you don't care what people think, why the fuck are you on Facebook crying your heart out? Obviously, you care about what people think. And to turn that into anybody who's telling me, yes, I'm telling you tough love as an old man who looks at you with care, been there, made that mistake. Age has some wisdom with it. And I don't need validation or need to impress anybody with my half-assed knowledge of physics or energy or consciousness and love and kumbaya and fuck you, Mike Zinn. That's what's going to happen on Monday if I'm in the studio with that guy. I'm sorry. I apologize again. I do care what all of you think about me. So there's that. Once again, Killer Keely will be with us in hour 2. Looking forward to that. Killer Keely Wolf was on this program. Originally, she was co-hosting, and Uncle Walt was the guest. For the first time, both of them were on the program. I'm still looking for a co-host, by the way, preferably a female, preferably with some youthful energy. Now, that doesn't mean she has to be. I'm not looking for a radio bunny. I'm looking for somebody who is more in tune with modern pop culture. It would be great if it were a female. If it's a guy, that would be fine too. But somebody who can contribute and add the perspective of youth to the program would be good. So I'm still actively looking for that. Put some stuff out there. You know, it's not always easy to kind of judge by emails and all that, Facebook, social media profiles of people who have applied for the job. And I might have made some mistakes in rejecting some people with a fair amount of prejudice who have applied in the past. I stopped, and this is the frustration. I start looking. I put out some feelers there, and the people who respond just don't impress me enough to say, yes, this is a person I would like to even give a try. And I've tried some with disastrous results. Invited some people. Okay, I'll give you a shot, and they've come on here and they have nothing to say. To be honest with you, I think Kiera was perfect for the role, despite the fact that she was the opposite of the mindset of a lot of the people in the audience. She was a devout Christian in a different way. I don't think she's a churchgoer, but that did not work out for her because she felt like people were ridiculing her, and being open. I think. Let me just say this. I know when she talked about being open to the idea of flat Earth, I don't think she was really seriously considering that stuff. She did it because she knows it would push my buttons because the flat Earth people annoy the fuck out of me. But I know that created a rift between her and a lot of the audience and all that stuff. But I do think she was perfect for the program. She's exactly the kind of person I'm looking for. Young, uh, with some energy and some positivity. So, you know what? It's a good time to take a coffee break. Koa Coffee is our sponsor for today. We actually have 2 sponsors for today. I'm going to go with Koa Coffee to start the day off. As I always do, I got my Koa Coffee, and I think you should too. Koa Coffee, I got to tell you, I know a lot of the brands seem expensive, but if you like strong coffee like me, It takes less to do more with Koa coffee than your store-bought coffee. Yes, it's not for everybody. It was a little pricey. I will admit that, but it is absolutely the best coffee. And again, it ends up being economical in the long run for you. So get yourself some cold coffee. I'll be back. I'm going to freshen up mine. I'll be back in a minute and 20 seconds. This episode is brought to you by Koa Coffee. If you are a coffee connoisseur and want to experience the best coffee Hawaii has to offer, no blends, no compromise, try the true taste of aloha. Koa Coffee produces premium Hawaiian coffee, hand-picked, expertly roasted, and delivered from Hawaii to your door with aloha. From award-winning 100% Kona coffee grown on the slopes of the Mauna Loa volcano to the unique mocha beans of Maui, they strive to provide their loyal customers with the best quality and freshness. Since 1997, Koa Coffee has been known far and wide as a product of utmost quality, and their awards prove it. Koa Coffee was featured in Forbes' Top 10 Coffees of the World. This is the coffee Forbes called the best coffee in America. Find out what it's all about. Go to minddogtv.com/coffee.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
I see dipshit Zen is in the comments talking about he texted me. Listen, don't text me ever again, dickface. I don't need your help. I checked the link. It might have been embarrassing. No, it wouldn't have been embarrassing. It was okay. First of all, I didn't put the link together. I never called myself a social media expert. If that's what you got, that is so fucking weak. Stop encouraging somebody. You've never been a counselor in your life. You don't know anything about psychology, psychotherapy. You don't know how to deal with people who have suicidal ideation, and you're pushing him closer and closer to the edge. And if he kills himself because of you, you will be held accountable. That is a promise. Get the fuck off my show. Don't be in my chat room. Get out of my fucking life. Understood? Find a fucking validation within yourself and don't go fucking trying to drag other people down to your fucking pitiful level. You fucking scumbag. Understood? Get lost. Thank you. Anyway, so Robert Klein called me yesterday. Phone rang, I pick up. Hey, Matt, it's Robert Klein. And I started laughing. It reminds me of the Cosby bit about Noah. He was not familiar with the Cosby bit about Noah. And he started talking about, and listen, you can't talk about Cosby without, all the shit that built. It's like Michael Jackson. You can't have a conversation about his music without people bringing up the boys stuff. It's all there. It's part of the conversation, whether you want it to be or not. So, the Cosby bit I was referencing was from 1962, I believe, way before anybody knew about that stuff. And you can think what you want about Bill Cosby, but the bit is classic. And if you don't know it, it's Noah working in the field, and God says, Noah. And Noah says, yeah, who's that? He said, it is I, the Lord God. Right. And it proceeds from there. And so when you get a phone call, hey, Matt, it's Robert Klein. Right. But we had a nice conversation about, and I don't like to talk to guests before, especially first-time guests before they come on the program, because I feel it takes away from the spontaneity. But we did have and again, Robert likes to talk, so I'm not really overly concerned that it's going to kill the conversation. We did have a nice long talk about some cool stuff around surrounding the arts and comedy and all that stuff. He was curious about my background. Obviously, he doesn't know me like I know him, which is always the case with celebrity. So we set the date, and he's going to be on the program tomorrow. Now, the minute I hung up with him, got a call from Abby, who is the proprietor of Sticks and Stones Comedy Club, which is a new comedy club here on Long Island in Southampton. And they're making some waves, and there's going to be a workshop for, basically a class on stand-up comedy, but it's not one of these ones where it's a carnivorous um, type of thing where it's all about money. It's a free, open to the public workshop that they'll be putting on in Southampton Library. I will be attending that uh, and reporting on it as a public service and a kind of documenting the experience to help promote that stuff. I will also have plans to be involved in promoting their comedy shows. Eddie Pepitone and my buddy JT Haberstadt will be there I believe, in August, which is how I found out about it. But the reason this is really significant to me today is it came right after my conversation with Robert Klein, and one of the first things he said to me, "Are you a fan of Robert Klein?" I just talked to him. Yes, and not just a fan. I idolize the man. He's a fucking hero. And she was talking because she comes from the film production world, and she was talking about a film that she put together, and Robert is a big part of it. And it's really not a documentary about him. It's a pseudo documentary about a comedy club, and I'm not sure if she said comic strip or Caroline's. I got to look in. I got to do the research and find out about this film. But obviously, I'm very curious now. I did not know this film existed, and I'm curious and really eager to find out about it. But the upside of this whole conversation is I'm going to be very involved with a new comedy club in Southampton, which is, we get a lot of prejudice about class and that kind of stuff. Southampton is a very wealthy, well-to-do, obviously, the Hamptons. It is one of the places where rich people live year round. It's not one of the summertime Hamptons, really Quogue, East Hampton, Montauk to a certain extent. That's where the influx of money people come. But the Southampton is a very well-to-do town, but they are very supportive of the arts. So, and I played the Hamptons Sunday, and again, I recap this, but the audiences there were surprisingly young, energetic, supportive in many ways, other than just clapping and singing along and dancing and all that kind of stuff. They are a great crowd. So I'm looking forward to being part of Sticks and Stones Comedy Club to whatever extent they'll allow me to be part of it and promoting that. Looks like something that is going to be real. Now, I'm on Governor's Comedy Club uh, podcast, radio, whatever you call it right now. And I don't think it creates any conflict of interest in there because it's so far away from the furthest east Gov's location, which is McGuire's in Bohemia. It's a good hour and a half drive from there, or hour, 15 minutes drive from there. I don't think there's any competition there. I do think the East End needs something besides the theater show, a true comedy club experience, which is different than a theater experience. Excited to see that. And so there will be some opportunities, and we're looking at producing some shows there in the distant future, not in the near future. But so opportunities are opening, and I'm always looking for avenues where I can help put, or at least open doors for people to be involved in some shows. So now where this is leading to, if you're a comic out there and you're looking to come to this area, I have contacts at several different comedy clubs, from the Governor's stuff to now Sticks and Stones to Uncle Vinny's to a couple clubs in Brooklyn, Union Hall, and like that. So if you are interested, I can hook you up with the bookers for these clubs. I can hook you up with a positive reference. If I know your work and can vouch for you, I will. If I don't, I will say plain out, this is somebody who just contacted me from the show, from listening, from watching the dopey live streams. And I don't really know them. And I just know that from their social media work. But if I can vouch for your work, I definitely will. Anything to support up and coming comedy. And so that's really, really important. And I'm happy to be able to kind of reach out and make those connections and make things happen. If you're just joining me, Killer Keely will be joining me in hour 2. Again, I've said this already today, but since I have expanded the time range on this program, it makes it more convenient for people on the West Coast to join us in hour 2, and I'm fine with that. If I can help make 1 more hour of sleep for people, I'm glad to be able to provide that. And even if it means we have to go long beyond, you know what, I should set my Gov's alarm so I remember to turn that off too today at 10:45, because we are probably going to go way past 10:45. And Tony Walker's show comes up on at 11, Knock 'em Dead Comedy on the Gov Network, and we have to be off by 10:45 to allow for that. So that's that. Okay. I'm still making the jokes about the Mets, even though it resulted in getting me a death threat and a possibility of getting assaulted at a gig on Sunday. Cancel. I'm not big on taking orders, and I'm not big on people telling me what to do, what I can do. And if you get me canceled once, you can be sure I'm not. Just going to escalate whatever it was that bothered you so much that you felt like you had to try and get me canceled. Again, what I got canceled from was not important to me anyway. I was looking to get looking for the door. I was already, actually, at the time it happened, I had already stepped outside the door and said, "Listen, I don't want to deal with these fucking people." Because restaurant owners and business people uh, who do or contract the service, they're looking for slave labor, and they're looking for people, to be at their beck and call for. I don't want to do any of that fucking stuff. I don't want to deal with any of that shit. I'm too old for that nonsense. So it became a burden, and I was just like, I'm done with it. I've done all I can do, and I'm walking away anyway. So, but he didn't know that, and he thought he was canceling me. So that aggravated me. So I'm still going to continue to bash on the Mets. Now, the Mets had a disastrous day yesterday, and it was it was just natural for me to go on and bash them like that. I did get a tremendous amount of response yesterday from the announcement that Robert Klein would be here. So that kind of validates, so many people were saying, they weren't really familiar with his work and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot more people hold him in high reverence, as I do, than would let on. And I'm really looking forward to that conversation. 20 years ago tonight, it was at a place called Water Lilies with the band. And the room was packed, as it always was in those days, and partying hard. and this dude in a buckskin coat comes up to me, and he mumbles. He says something. It seemed like mumbling because the music was so loud about echo coming through the speakers. Mikey, the singer, liked echo, like slapback echo rather than reverb, and that was intentional. But this guy did not like it, and he felt like he had to let me know about it. And I paid him no attention, and it just kept saying it to me over and over again. Finally, we got to a place where the drummer is going to sing a song, so I turn to the mixer, and I go to put the drummer's vocal volume up a little bit, and the guy in the buckskin coat comes up. No, the echo's still there. I'm not adjusting it for you, asshole. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. You're not making sound. Go away. The guy got all offended, and everybody was laughing at him. I kind of, made a bit of a scene, and he was kind of embarrassed by it and humiliated by the crowd's response. Like, get the fuck away from the band. Don't be bothering the band. 20 years ago tonight. So the next night, Cinco de Mayo, again, my favorite night to be out with the band. We were playing just down the street from there, and this guy shows up at the club we're playing, and he ends up getting beat up out on the sidewalk, like totally. Somebody just found him really annoying and was beating him to a pulp. And my friend John, who was a fan of the band, who used to come to every show, who was there the night before, and he knew that this guy had just kind of crossed the line with me and pissed me off. And he sees the guy getting beat up and me just sitting there like with a big smile on my face. He said, "Well, Hank," people called me Hank. They all thought my name was Hank, which is a whole other fucking story. You always said Cinco de Mayo was your favorite holiday. This is your reward. This is my memory, but it was 20 years ago today, 2003, May 4th and May 5th, 2003. So fond memories of playing with the Rockin' 45s, at that time called the Carlos Allende Trio, which was never a trio. Name was simply applied for the purpose of asking people, well, why you call it a trio if there's 4 guys here? So, I think I was inspired. There was a trio that I knew who called themselves 5 Guys Named Mo, and it was only 3 guys. And people would always ask them, why you call them, where are the other 2 guys? None of them were named Mo. So there's that. Anyway, Mind Dog Radio, streaming on Live 365. I want to let you know about the apps are already in both app stores. You can download them for free. Please give me a positive review. I'm not expecting that from somebody who thinks he saved me from embarrassment on social media by texting me. The link didn't work. Nobody was fucking clicking the link anyway. Just you fucking. Get out of my life, you wasted fucking spirit. Get out of my life. Go fucking pander to your tarot reading friends. Douchebag. Anyway, let's play a little music, and I will think about what we're going to do to kill some time until Keely comes in. Do I have something cool to play? Yeah, let's go with this.
Hey, yeah, Mind Dog, yeah, Mind Dog. If you ready for some action, this dog sure to keep you laughing. Let's go. Mind Dog, yeah, Mind Dog. Don't roll, don't play fetch, only here to keep your interest. This is the show that you've been missing, full of comedians and musicians, plenty of interviews, entertaining, keep it funny, there ain't no debating. So authentic and straight raw, pushing the limits when they talk, doing it live when they stream. Mind Dog TV, yeah, so crazy, getting intense. The dogs are wild, better beware before you hop over the fence. Mind Dog, yeah, Mind Dog. If you ready for some action, this dog sure to keep you laughing. Let's go. Mind Dog, hey, Mind Dog. Don't roll, don't play fetch, only here to keep your interest. Let's go. Come have coffee with the dog.
Ian, damn you, tarot spirit. You mean me or you mean my? I don't know. Or that's just being funny. Listen, tarot cards are a fucking joke. There are people who actually fear that tarot cards bring evil into their life. There are other people who believe that tarot cards really have any meaning and can predict things for you and tell you things about your own. They're fucking cards. If what makes them magical, the factory that they were produced in, was there a shaman who came and blessed them? Is every deck sacred? Or is a fucking bicycle deck that you can buy in a store, if it has magical powers, uh, it should sell itself. It should just kind of ring itself up and get the, you don't have to do anything. This fucking belief in flipping cards to tell you a future or to tell you about your present or to tell you about personality or things you need to change. My God, man. That's one step away or half a step away from flat Earth. The ridiculous, and again, once again, people who have no mm, education in quantum physics and energy, pronounce themselves energy healers and experts in the human energy field, like they know what the fuck they're talking about. Never done an ounce of scientific research in their pitiful life. Never ever had real training in any of the areas that they freely give out advice in every fucking day and tell people how to live their life without care, who are looking for something for themselves in their preaching. Lost souls, lost fucking souls. Get a fucking education before you're allowed to, or before you allow yourself to go out and think you know what the fuck you're talking about. The energy stuff. Oh, uh, the Ouija board is real. Look out. Well, the Ouija board is not real. I'm sorry. The, what you can make a Chucky doll come to life with the Ouija. I that's you know what, I had the guy who was Chucky on the show. Believe me, there's no bringing that dude to life. um, here's the deal with the Ouija board. Because I don't know if this is a joke or not. The Ouija board is real. Watch out, dog. Or whether it's tongue in cheek or serious or what. The Ouija board can open your vulnerability up, because what you are doing is allowing your it's a tool to help you try to bypass your conscious mind to access your subconscious mind. And almost always, um, things are being directed with a tiny bit of intent and a tiny bit of just allowing yourself and to be naked without being naked. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. It's allowing yourself to expose your subconscious without having to feel like any responsibility or any accountability towards it. So yeah, a Ouija board can be both not dangerous, but it can open you up to things, suggestibility and influence and all sorts of, I don't want to say energetic. I want to say mind, psychological influences from all sorts of places. Because when you're in that place, you're an open door and your mind is a sponge and it's going to pick up and hold on to things. So it can be dangerous, no doubt about it. Even if you're um, only semi serious about this whole, or just completely joking about this whole thing, Ouija board is real, watch out. There are some things that I would stay away from without real clinical evaluation of what's really going on, what's happening there. I don't want to get too much into all these fucking pseudoscience, new age bullshit. Uh, yes, this happened. John actually fucking, now he's a psychic. This is a fucking psychic right here because that's exactly what happened to me. Exactly what happened to me. I don't know. Maybe John and I have had some common experience in this area. But yeah, the redheads with the too many cats. First of all, I've always had a thing for redheads, and what I was thinking about redheads with too many cats. Uh, the example I had in my mind as I was giving that little rant about was a redhead with too many cats. You fucking psychic bastard. Um, Ouija board can make you subconscious expose themselves. Sounds like a sexual assault, brother. Well, we were talking about that a little bit yesterday about virtual sexual assault. This is a thing. Apparently now, women are concerned with getting sexually assaulted in the metaverse. It fucking hurts my mind to think about it because if you're getting assaulted in the metaverse, I would, and I don't have any experience with virtual reality at all. But it seems to me you could just take off the goggles, you could unplug the computer, whatever. You're not. It's not a physical assault, and you don't have to be there. You can be You can be gone in a flip of a switch. But this is a real concern. Women, I don't know. It was an article in Elle magazine yesterday, and which Elle is for feminists, and it's very pro woman magazine. So these concerns are hyper present in their mindset. But women are concerned about being raped in the metaverse, and I'm like, really? Just unplug it. Take the fucking goggles off. Maybe my lack of understanding in how don't swim with the dolphins in the metaverse. Oh, are you referencing um dolphin rape? Because I talked about that on the program once. I forget who brought that up with. Well, it was a female, and she was astonished to find out. Maybe it was Kiara. Oh, you go, Jordan Peterson popping in. Maybe it was Kiara who was surprised to know about dolphins actually raping women. That was a real concern at SeaWorld or in some of the places, especially where dolphins are not necessarily in captivity tanks, but they brought to swim with the dolphins type thing at beaches, where male dolphins will actually rape women. Very, very weird, weird stuff. Anyway, last night on the program, Marcia Van Winsberg, who is an author. Um, she is, I don't want to call her a life coach, a transformational coach, somebody who deals with people helping people figure out stuff in their life. It is a bit of, and if you listen to the program, my feelings on life coaches and semantics being what they were. I have a real problem with the term life coach. Life coach suggests that I can coach you on how to live your life. I'm there for you. And I always feel like, and she brought this up, she mentioned it in the conversation, that there's this perception that you have, if you're going to do that, and I have this perception, if you're going to coach somebody on how to live their life, you better have all your shit together. And who does? Who has all their shit together? I don't know anybody who has all their shit together. I don't, and I don't care how much wisdom, how much you've been through to hold yourself out as a transformational coach and I'm going to change your life. In my mind, it does require a lot of, expertise in solving problems and all stuff. The crux of the conversation was about her battle, a book that she had written about her battle with two teenage sons who became, involved in substance abuse, addiction. Two of them, a year apart, and young teens, starting at 12 years old, um, battling with uh, substance abuse turned to addiction, starting, of course, with pot at 12 years old, which led to a conversation. Well, first of all, it was about her struggle and to get her sons clean, sober, off the drug. Now, if everybody listen, I'm I'm a pothead my whole life, and I'm very much in favor of legalization of marijuana for adults. But I do understand, and this is a conversation that will cause a lot of arguments too, and a lot of bad hard feelings because you're bashing the weed. I would never bash the weed. I'm a big proponent of legal marijuana for adults. But when we talk about gateway drugs, and people will say, "Well, there's no such thing as a gateway drug. Pot is not a gateway drug." No, it's not for a emotionally developed adult. But hear me out. If you're getting if you feel the hairs on your back in the back of your neck starting and you want to start a fight with me over this, hear me out before you jump in to argue with me. If you're 12 years old and your parents tell you, don't smoke pot. It's not good for you. It will fuck you up. Your parents are telling you that they're telling you it's going to lead to bad things in your life. And then you smoke pot and nothing bad happens. That is, hey, wait a minute. That's a hey, wait a minute moment. Mom and dad told me this would fucking destroy my life. And all it did was make me feel good. Well, they also said that about cocaine. Why can't I could try cocaine? And it can be a gateway drug in that for 12-year-olds who have not had, emotional intelligence at all yet. They haven't really fully gone through puberty at 12, boys. And so you get the idea that what mom and dad lied to me about Santa Claus, they lied to me about pot. Could they be lying about cocaine and heroin too? Sure, I could try that. So I could try ecstasy. I could try whatever else is out there. Meth. I mean, they told me pot was going to destroy my life. All it did would make me, laugh and, enjoy cookies more or whatever. So it can be a gateway to people who are young, vulnerable, not emotionally developed yet. It can be, not always will be. And I certainly don't want that conversation to lead to people not being for the legalization of it. But that was it's a tricky conversation because if you bring up the idea that it could be a gateway, you will get lots of arguments from. If I brought it up to Tommy Chong, he would be fucking ripping me a new asshole right now, saying, no such thing as a gateway. No, not for a mature adult. A mature adult can make the determination that um, I tried pot and I enjoyed it. They don't necessarily tie that back to mommy and daddy lied to me about what would happen. But a young person who has been living with it for only 12 years, living life for only 12 years, and mommy and daddy say, don't try pot. And then you do, and all it does is make you feel good and laugh. That can be a sign that mommy and daddy are full of shit. And I'm going into my teen years now. Everybody is a rebel in their teen years. They lied to me about that. What else are they lying to me? Fuck mom and dad. What do they know? And then it becomes a gateway drug for those people. Hard to hear me say that at this age, but I realize it's absolutely could be the case. So she struggled, and I have had some struggles of my own with a child who got into substance abuse. And the blame and the guilt and all the crap that goes with that experience. And the whole time we're having the conversation, I'm thinking we have a lot in common. But then when when I asked her about the catalyst that turned things around, she told me a story about how one of them overdosed and the other one um, tried to commit suicide, both in her house within 4 days of each other. And I thought that was the moment I thought, well, I don't really have any that much in common with her because most people, I don't know about most people, maybe I shouldn't say that. Me personally, I only I only dealt with one at a time. But to deal with two of your children going through that at the same time is definitely a unique response. Um, John says, if pot's a gateway drug, would that make cocaine or toll road? That is a very good joke, my friend. And I would definitely consider using that. But I don't think again, I want to be clear here. I don't think there is any such thing as a gateway drug for emotionally developed adults. I'm talking about children here. So I just want to be clear about that. No such thing as a gateway drug, in my opinion. Nothing, alcohol is the ultimate gateway drug, right? If you're gonna talk, but there's no such thing. It's the individual making choices, but children are not equipped to make educated or emotionally mature choices. That's my whole thing about it. Now, the other part of this was the whole legalization of marijuana and where it's gone wrong. And I do think I said this as a joke the other day that legalizing pot in New York was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And that's a lot for a guy who's lost a son to heroin addiction to even say that as a joke. Um, and it is a joke that, but here's the thing all for legalization of marijuana, it was meant to take dollars away from the criminal element that is selling marijuana and put it into taxes that would be used for the good of all of the common, for all of us, for the common good, for you and I, tax revenue that could be used for treatment of addicts, could be used to reinforce back where we started this program with the mental illness that is on the streets and the young man who got murdered for being mentally ill, really is what he got murdered for. Um, we stopped caring for those people. So the intent was take the money away from the criminal element that is selling the drugs, put that in drugs, marijuana, or you want to call it a drug, put that tax revenue back into the system so that we can actually do positive things with it. But none of that is happening. Where she is in Ontario, Canada, it's not happening at all. I said, how much of that tax revenue is really getting in there? Because I know I can walk and I don't want my words to ever be used as it needs to be outlawed again argument. But I can walk into a dispensary. Almost, they don't take credit cards generally. Yeah, if they take any kind of uh, credit system, it is in-house credit kind. But I wouldn't even apply for that anyway. But it's cash, and when cash business happens, you can be sure taxes are being evaded. It's the truth. So if you're walking into a dispensary and paying for everything cash, there's no need for the people selling it to be responsive and say, pay their taxes. And so if the state isn't ever getting the revenue, to hold the state accountable for using that revenue for the good it was intended, the whole law was intended to produce positive out of a perceived negative. It's not happening. But you can't blame the state if they're never getting that revenue, if people are dodging it. So what we have, some people are still preferring to go to the black market type of deal. I know a guy to get their weed. And other people just going into a dispensary and paying cash, paying more than they would on the black market, thinking they're doing the right thing for everybody. And none of that money is getting, I don't know how much of it. I can't say none of it. It would be hard to really go back to the state and say, well, we didn't make a cent. Nobody bought any. Yeah, we believe that. So it's a tricky thing. But, for this whole experiment, national experiment or state by state, hopefully national experiment in legalizing of marijuana, I don't think we have fully seen where drug cartels are, the people who traditionally supplied these kinds of things to the American public. I don't think they've been heard at all, and I don't think it's really producing any revenue that is going towards the common good yet. Can we? It's still early in the game, and there's still a possibility that could change for a positive way in the near future. But so far, not looking good. Anyway, looks like Killer Keely is a little late. Maybe she overslept. Maybe the alarm didn't go off. I'm going to try and contact her right now. I'm going to play. If you want to, please bear with me. If you want to go get a cup of coffee, whatever you want to do, I'm going to play some music and see if I can track her down. I know she's been posting about this all week, and it's it's not like something she was blowing off. If she's not here now, I'm sure it's not by intention. It's by forgetfulness, maybe confusion about the time zone stuff. I'm going to see if I can contact her. I'll be right back. Until then, enjoy Broken Too. This is an appropriate song because we're all broken. And I love you because you're broken too. I'm broken and I'm shattered glass. I know you think I'm just an ass. But if you look beneath my scars, you'll find that I'm just like you are. For all the shit that we've been through, I love you 'cause you're broken too. I'm broken and I'm beaten down. I know you think I'm just a clown, a damaged and a mangled mess. 'Cause I can't see that I've been blessed. Inside of me, inside of you, I love you 'cause you're broken too. I could die alone, but give a dog a bone. He's loyal and he's always true. I'm broken and I'm bleeding too. I know you take me for a fool. I am without a shred of pride, wounded from a trust that died. And you don't even have a clue. I love you 'cause you're broken too. I'm broken but I'm not destroyed. hide behind the devil's smile. But when my dying day is through, I'll love you 'cause you're broken too. I love you 'cause you're broken too.
You're listening to Coffee with a Dog on Live 365 Mind Dog Radio.
So I have not heard back from Keely. I just tried to contact her a number of ways. I feel really bad, but I don't want to just keep, I don't want to go for a third hour today. I've been ranting all week long without guests. And I'm really talked out. I mean, yesterday I had Carl on. Thank God for Carl, King Carl, who came in to talk about the coronation with me. And that was a welcome relief. But we might have to reschedule Keely. I don't know what went wrong. I'm suspecting. Listen, they don't have daylight savings time in Arizona. Maybe time zone issues. I don't know. But for whatever, we've got people here and waiting for her, and she's not here, and I feel really bad about that. I'm speaking of Jackie and Peter and stand-up memories, coming back to that. They are performing locally here. If you're on Long Island, New York City, or in the area, Saturday, May 6th at the Brokerage. Dolphin awareness. What? Is there a hole in the time continuum there? What happened? John is available to jump on. I'll send you a link. Now, how do I send you a link? Hold on. I got to figure this out. Sure, I will send you a link as soon as I figure out how again. All right, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to send it to your Facebook profile. I'm sorry, I keep saying blah 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 blah, but I'm a blah 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 guy. Blah 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 blah. And especially when I'm trying to talk, I don't know how Bob Ross ever could paint and speak at the same time, because I can't even click a mouse and speak at the same time. So I'm John. All right, John, check your thingamabob, your private messages to your private Facebook page. You should have a link in there. Did I ever publish this? Yes, I did. Something popped up. Using several browsers at once. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Saturday, May 6th, the Brokerage in Belmore. Peter Bales and Jackie Martling will be performing there. I have my own show that night. I was planning on going to the Brokerage and enjoying heckling a little bit, probably Jackie and Peter, but Keely is a no-show. Well, I don't consider a no-show. I call probably probably a mistake. Let's call it that. I don't put her in the same category as the people who just the authors who go out of their way to book me months in advance, confirm that they're coming, and then don't show up. AW wants to know the origin of the mustache story. Well, let me just finish saying what I was saying about Jackie and Peter. I was going to go to Jackie and Peter's gig at the Brokerage Saturday night, May 6th, 8 p.m. Was unaware that I have a booking that night with the band, so I won't be there, sadly. Now, the mustache. The mustache actually has been with me since puberty. When I was going through puberty, I still have it on my lip. There's a Cindy Crawford-esque, a Jean Boy-esque mole. It was tiny when I was a kid, but I was very self-conscious about it. So I started shaving in order to grow a mustache to hide the mole. The mole still lives under. I don't even. Here it is. It's pretty big now. If I and there have been one or two times where I've shaved the mustache. Did one for a music video. I think I could show you a little bit of that music video. Anyway, um, and the mole, when I take the mustache off, the mole, it screams for attention. Look at me. It looks like, Austin Powers. Moly, 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 moly. Uh, and so the mustache will probably be with me till death because it's either that or have surgery to have the mole removed. Those are my two choices. Now, there is a video where my friend Ralph is counseling me. Why don't you just grow one of those thin mustaches that, like one of the, debonair type of, where it just covers the mole. You can't. The mole has gotten out of control. Now, some people say, "Well, you really should get they should get a lance. It could be cancer. It could grow into cancer." If I die of lip cancer, I'll die with a mustache hiding the lip cancer. By the way, Robert Klein is very impressed with my mustache too. I told him Groucho left it to me. I never, in my wildest dreams, envision myself looking like Groucho Marx uh, when I got old. It wasn't. I was, when I had hair, it had a whole different um, fit into the framework of the face. And then, for a lot of that time, I also had a beard, so it all went together. I was more of a Cat Stevens lookalike as a kid. Never thought I would look like Groucho Marx as an old man. You never know. So for you young people out there, uh, when you're playing with these age me type of software that they have on social media, what do you look like as an old person? Don't believe it, because there is no way that shit would have predicted I look like this now. Now, the other part of this that you don't understand, other than the stuff that comes with growing old, hair growing out of places you never expected, even though your father and grandfather probably had hair in your ears and nose. You never thought, well, that's going to be me someday. But it gets uncontrollable. After, I don't know, 40? After 40, you start to realize I need a barber just for my ears. So there's all of that stuff, which is a kind of a maintenance. But you don't have any idea what you're going to look like as an old person. And the other thing, besides the hair that starts to grow uncontrollably, is, I don't know, the nose. The nose. My nose, if you look at pictures of me as a young man, I didn't have this Jimmy Durante fucking fat nose. And if I look at pictures of my grandfather when he was a young man, he didn't have it either. But as he got to be this age, when I, came to life and started to know him, he had a big schnoz. But by the time he died, it was a Jimmy Durante, a big fat nose. And that's where I'm headed. I mean, I'm already there, but I promise you, if I live another 10 years, this thing is going to be like one of those monkeys, those proboscis monkeys that the nose hangs down to the chest. It's growing out of control. And if you're laughing at me right now, good for you, but know that it will happen to you. Even Carl said he started to notice it. Carl's in his 40s. And he's starting to notice my nose is bigger than it used to be. Your nose is the one thing. I don't know if it's the one thing, your fingernails, toenails, and I think probably to some extent your ears keep growing. Even though your head is going to stay the same size, all your features will stay the same size, but your nose will grow out of control big. Um, so I thought I was just hearing from Keely, but nope, somebody else. Getting a lot. You know what? Once you start, I said this when Doug Stanhope first came on the program. once you get somebody of that caliber, all of a sudden everybody wants to be on the show. And so, people seeing Robert Klein now, and since I put out the thing that Robert Klein would be on the show tomorrow, and fucking John guessed it like that. Which, how does he fucking know? I mean, people who knew me for 50 years didn't know who I was talking about. John gets it on the first guess. He's known me for 6 months, a year, maybe. I don't know. And got it on the first guess. That bothers me. Not that I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at my friends for not being as tuned into me as a guy I met 6 months ago online. It's very, very disturbing. That guy is here. Oh, he's playing with some wires or something in the.
Yeah, I'm trying to improve my rig. I'm living in squalor over here. I'm trying to set up a new green screen studio, and I got a new nightclub I've been trying to get all their lighting together for, so everything's kind of chaos.
That mic looks like you're commanding the Starship Enterprise or something like that.
It's just a
Spock to
blue
the bridge.
snowball.
Spock to the bridge.
Like $40 at Micro Center. It's a pretty cheap mic. I'm a big fan of cheap equipment. Just knowing how to use it.
Me too. I say that all the time now. It might look like I got good equipment here. This is a Rode mic, and it's not that. I think it costs $90 or something. It's not like a high tech. I'm not. Most of my guitar, I have some expensive guitars, but my gigging guitar is an Epiphone that is a $400 guitar, and that sometimes I've been known to play $100 guitar on a gig. So I don't think expense makes things.
I mean, like I spend money on like lights, like that's an ETC. You know what I mean? Like I've got like. Like if you're gonna spend money on something, like spend money on something that's gonna last you the rest of your life.
Right.
If it's not gonna last you the rest of your life, just buy something to get you by until you can afford something that's permanent.
Yeah, I agree. I just gotta highlight this comment. I don't know what it's in reference to. Ian says Jiminy Cricket. Is that I don't know what that means.
Jiminy Cricket.
Is that a reference to my nose growing out of control? I don't know what.
I don't know. Speaking of noses and cancer, man, I don't know if you can see this. I just had like a spot taken off my face.
Oh, really?
So yeah, man, like it happens fast. I'm only like 35, man, so that's pretty crazy.
So what did that entail? Go into just have an office procedure, and they freeze it off to cut it off.
Well, they cut it first and like biopsy it. Did you bring a chipmunk in here? I think my cat just brought a chipmunk in here.
Yeah, it just came out of the closet or something.
My door just opened.
Been a gay cat just came out of the closet.
This is Pepperoni.
That's a cool cat.
Oh yeah, he's the best.
I have a baby pepper that looks just like
he's a pepperoni. But yeah, so what was I saying?
Yeah, you were removing. They froze it off, and then.
The cancer in my face.
I'll cut it off.
How quickly we forget.
Lance.
Yeah, no. So they cut it and they biopsy it, and then they see, if it's like, ugh, and if it's something bad, then they come back and they freeze it, and then it turns into this, and I guess it flakes off. I don't know what happens next.
You look fine, but the Jiminy Cricket thing, that got me because yesterday I was just mentioning this that since the Robert Klein stuff, comedians are coming out of the woodwork. Oh, I got to get on the show now. He got real people. And one of the guys, he's a stand-up comedian, but he's an entrepreneur who has built a business on crickets, eating crickets, cricket protein bars. And this is fascinating to me because if you've ever stepped on a cricket, it is not actually appetizing at all. It looks like, I promise you, if I was swept away, cast away, whatever that Tom Hanks movie is, on a desert island, and I was starving to death, I can't see me picking up a cricket and eating it. It just, so it's weird.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know. Insects, they eat them a lot in other parts of the world. They are good protein. I think I've actually had cooked bugs before, like when I was a lot younger. I think it was at Epcot. They used to have a thing where you could get like some kind of cooked bug that was an actual cooked bug. It may have even been crickets.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean,
You
Yeah,
know
I mean,
what? If they
I guess
bread it,
that's kind of
yeah,
strange,
if they
but
bread it and fry it and you can't tell it's a cricket, maybe then. But
you know
just
what? I don't think I'd eat one either, just because I recently forced myself to watch that new Renfield movie with Dracula, played by Nicolas Cage, and that character, the Renfield character, like he eats bugs for his powers, and I don't know, it's just sort of like over the top. I feel like it was like I don't know. I don't know. They say like they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to start eating bugs soon. Like for humanity to survive, we got to start eating bugs.
well,
And I'm not opposed to that, but at the same time, like you do kind of see it a lot now. Like they kind of reference it a lot in movies, and like I don't know, it's becoming more of a like popularized thing. But whatever.
does
I
your
guess it beats
cat bring you?
starving, right?
Yeah. Does your cat bring you gifts? Because my
Um,
cat brought me
yeah.
a frog
Oh
the
yeah,
other day.
yeah. This little fucker. This little fucker right here. He yesterday he brought in a chipmunk. He used to bring them in dead, right? Because he didn't know how to like catch them very easily without killing them first. And now he just sits, like just sits and waits and knows exactly where they come out of like the hole, and he just waits on them. And when they come out, he grabs them and he brings them inside alive. And there's a doggy door. So he just brings them inside and lets them go
Holy
because he wants
shit!
to keep playing with. He knows they once they're inside and he lets them go, they don't know the lay of the land like he does, and they don't know how to get back outside. So he can just keep chasing them through the house, and then eventually he'll lose them, and then they just live in the house.
Oh my god. Well,
Yeah.
that's a badass cat to be. That's because chipmunks are
I'm
pretty
worried.
big,
See,
right?
he doesn't normally come up to my room like this. He'll meow downstairs if he wants me for something, and then I'll come down and see what he wants.
It's a ham.
The the fact that he's in my room means that he lost a chipmunk and he's looking for it.
Either that,
Right?
or he heard Robert Klein is going to be on tomorrow, and he wants
Yeah,
some FaceTime.
and he wants some FaceTime now. He's like, "Yeah, I heard this show's good."
I heard this show's good. Yeah. So, you caught all my ranting this morning, and I know I'm out of control, but
Most of it, yeah.
my friend, he's a 42-year-old comedian who desperately wants to do he loves performing comedy, and that's where the only place where he finds his peace and his joy. But he's also got lots and lots of baggage that he brings to it, and I am
Yeah.
concerned for him, and I want him to approach comedy or the idea of doing it at full time in a constructive way that's going to lead to that, rather than to a getting caught in a small circle of being a big fish in a small pond that quickly dries up and then you got nothing, right? Like small towns that only have 3 comedy clubs and you're just playing them all to the same audiences, and originally you're a big shot, and then 2 months later you're like, okay, we've seen that act 5 times. You got to be a road comic of America to really kind of do anything serious in your life. What advice would you, or what, maybe not advice, but
It's
insight?
difficult. It's difficult to say because I don't know what they're going through personally and what maybe they need to express. I mean, it's not always easy to find the help you need therapy wise. Like everybody says they need therapy, you need therapy, you need therapy, and that's true. But finding the right therapist is actually really difficult to do because a
That's
lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, I'll take you on as a client and take your money," even though I have no idea how to address any of your problems. I'm a licensed therapist. See, look at the license. I can do everything.
right.
And a lot of times I find that like therapy is a very personal thing. Like you can kind of there's such a thing as self therapy if there's a certain, like I'm not saying that that's the best type of therapy, but what I'm saying is that I used to be very judgmental, and on some level I am dismissive still of people that get up on stage and say, "Yeah, it's free therapy." It's like it's kind of like one of those cringe moments. It's like that's not really a joke that you think it is. Um that's not what comedy is meant to be for the audience's sake. The audience didn't show up for you to get your free therapy. That's
Right.
not why they showed up.
Yeah.
If you can get that at the same time as getting a laugh, great. I mean, obviously, on some level, it's validating as shit to crush it. If you kill a room and you just murder, like it feels amazing. It's like it feels awesome. Like there's pride and there could be ego, of course, but like just as a human being, and like it is very validating that you've put all of this time and effort and energy into getting good at this thing and expressing yourself in this way and being seen. Yeah, it can be incredibly validating, just like issues and problems can be validated in therapy, and you can work through them, and learn to sit with them. If they're getting a value out of that, I wouldn't say like, oh, you got to stop doing that necessarily. But what I would say is like, yeah, I would second what you're saying in terms of if you want to make a career out of this. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, you look at Mike Birbiglia, like he's basically perfected just talking about his fucking life. Like that's what he does. And it's incredibly uncomfortable personal baggage. It is personal stuff that like you wouldn't think like just going on and on about having night terrors or something it's like a serious personal problem that people would laugh at, but like because he's taking you on that journey with him, and he's had to learn to laugh at his own eccentric, borderline schizophrenic like thoughts. You know what I mean? You're just like, yeah, I just guess I have to sit with these intrusive thoughts. I could see how like, yeah, that could be incredibly validating to turn into an act and be able to carry it with you all the time and not have to like, I don't know, feel like sad for your problems or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I would say like right away from that, like like Brian Regan always said that he said that they were like, oh, people start saying, oh yeah, you're that really funny comedian, you're great, you're the guy that crouches all the time. Right. And he hated hearing that. And so he started not crouching anymore. Right. Just because he didn't want to be known as that.
That's funny. The crouching stuff seems epidemic now. I see a lot of guys doing that all the time.
The like hunch.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm saying is it's a tool in your toolbox. It's like I've actually been watching like less stand-up comedy, and I've been studying street mimes and understanding the physical comedy and understanding like how one person with absolutely no words can whip a crowd of 100 people on the street into a frenzy of like laughing hysterically and throwing money at them and praise. And I find that that's like a really fundamental thing to kind of understand, I guess. Not that I want to be a mime.
No, I get it. You are. I love that insight because because a lot of people don't really appreciate the physicality that goes into stand-up comedy.
If you can layer things,
right?
If you can layer things, and the physicality, like Brian Regan did on stage, is some would call it slapstick, physical humor. Others would just say it's like when I make a commercial. I want the music to match the tone of the voice of the voiceover and the imagery and the pacing of the clips. They all sync up and they're all layers to one another. And I feel like the highest and best comedy is not only just the witty words, it's your facial expressions. And overall, larger than that could be your body expressions or lack thereof. Right. And understanding how those things kind of go back and forth. I feel like, anyway, I'm kind of off the subject. Brian Regan wrote away from the crouching thing. And then later he's like, oh, you're the best clean comedian. And he wrote away from that. What I would also say is like, to your friend, is like, if you're doing that, try to write away from it, but don't let it go. Always keep it as a tool in your toolbox if you kind of need that. Or if that's something that motivates his writing, like if he just can't write new material unless like somebody almost gets into a car accident with him. And that's where the motivation comes from. And then he'll figure out where the punchlines lie later after he's told the joke poorly a couple of times, too personally. They say like, is tragedy plus time equals comedy. And that's true to a certain extent, obviously, but I would say more importantly is trauma, right? Trauma plus time equals good comedy in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it's also like a Titanic joke isn't funny anymore because nobody is alive that was traumatized by it. So there's no tension that you're relieving by writing a good joke about it.
Right.
So the relieving of tension is what makes a joke like truly good, like damn, kind of jokes. It relieves a certain bit of tension.
Right.
It kind of makes you relax about something that you would normally be uptight about. And if it's something that happened 200 years ago, obviously nobody's, it comes off more as a personal commentary. That's why, like, if somebody were to tell a Civil War joke, you'd be like, he's a Confederate. You're like, what? What do you mean he's a Confederate? Like, he just wrote a bad joke, like it's just a shitty joke. But that being said, like I've heard people say funny jokes. Like there's a guy in New Orleans who does a joke. His name's Matt Owens. He's like an older, not older, but like a couple years older than me, so I say older. Kind of gray-haired white dude. He's like looked like a Confederate monument. And he like turns to the side and he gets a huge laugh off of it. But it's because there's no real political commentary. If you went any deeper into that, I guarantee you somebody would try to like pull some kind of like it means something out of that joke. So like it's I find it interesting to me that like if you can touch on a subject but like not really say anything about it, you can kind of build a little tension off of it. But yeah, if there's no real stakes in a joke, then there's no real teeth to it. So I could also understand how somebody would talk more about their life because for them the stakes are higher. So in their mind, it's a better joke. It feels to them like it's a better joke. So maybe they can have a little more passion delivering it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how deep into comedy the guy you're talking about is, your friend there.
20 years.
You know a lot of comedians, man.
20 years, but 10 years off for prison sentence. I got to say goodbye to Govs right now. Govs Network, goodbye.